Hi guys, so should we do the recent reads video? I guess we should. I guess I'm doing it, and also I guess I haven't really gathered all the books. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, so for the recent reads this month, I haven't been really productive. I haven't read that many books. Anyway, okay, let's start. First of all, I read the two books that, you know, were the books of my book club. Oh shit, I forgot the other one. I'm sorry for all the moving around. Alright, this time we're good. We're really good. Okay, so the two books that were for my book club this month were this one, Tokyo Cancelled, and Dispute Over a Very Italian Piglet. They were both recommended by some of you, so thank you. And if you want to join the book club, you're more than welcome to do so. So the first one, Tokyo Cancelled, by Rana Dasgupta. I have to be honest, I didn't really enjoy the book. I think it was, you know, there's this very, very fragile and very unclear limit between contemporary that I can deal with and contemporary that I can't deal with. This was not something I could deal with. The thing is, I did appreciate the imaginative force. It was very imaginative, very creative. I did think that the idea was nice and interesting. It's the idea of, you know, people being blocked and just having to wait at the airport and spending the night together, and so they decide to share stories together. But actually, I would have liked it better if they shared personal stories that were like relevant to that were more on a more practical and more like realistical level, but this is really not the case. It's more like fairy tales, and I'm really not a big fan of fairy tales. I do like magical realism, but this was way beyond magical realism in my opinion. So if you like magical realism, if you like fairy tales, you would like this book because it's an innovative way of telling those, and it's very creative, and the style is not bad. I didn't really think it was that good either, but it's definitely not bad. And also what I didn't very much enjoy was the fact that in some stories I felt like there were plot holes and moments where you were like, that's not working, like you should have put something else, or I'm like thinking, is it really possible? Then I read obviously the Dispute Over a Very Italian Piglet, and I did like this one a lot more. This one was really interesting because it's definitely a it's a contemporary book. It's definitely not a classics. It's definitely not a classics in the style, in the vocabulary used, in the themes. I did like it. I liked it because it was so... I liked the humor. I really enjoyed the humor. I liked how it dealt with very important themes such as racism, immigration, integration, xenophobia, and identity in a very subtle way without being too subtle, like politically correct at all. Honestly, I would recommend this book to most people because I think it did such a great job at being interesting, funny, witty, without being a book that, you know, shows itself, if that makes any sense. And then I read this one, and it was in French, Anthologie de poésie arabe contemporaine. So I'm trying to read more poetry, guys, and I don't know. The weird thing is I don't like poetry very much, but I'm actually doing my dissertation on poetry. And if you had told me I would do my dissertation on poetry, I would have been like, no way, but apparently I am. So yeah, contemporary Arabic poetry. Some were really nice, some were not so nice. What can I say? It's kind of traditional poetry, I would say. It's very classic in its form and style, and even in the themes. So the kind of read that, you know, is not necessarily super amazing, but is not unpleasant either. Then I read this one, which I liked so much better. It's Terre Emeraude. It's a collection of poetry by Ahmed Hegazi, who is an Egyptian author. Loved this. He wrote a lot about politics, about Israel, about democracy, socialism, all those things. I love the poetry. It was very beautiful. It was a lot more like the poetry that I like. Yeah, I would recommend. It was really hard to get my hands on it, and I don't know if there's any English translation actually. I also read another poetry book, Femmes, poètes du monde arabe, so female poets of the Arabic world, of the Arab world. Very interesting. I did like this a lot more than the than this one. This one, there were like super amazing, beautiful poems in it. Not all poems, obviously, and it's a very subjective thing once again, but some were super interesting. And you had like people from Palestine, Jordan, Yemen, Qatar, the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iraq. I mean, so many different countries, so many women that talk about love, about sexuality, about pleasure, about identity, about freedom in a way that's so beautiful sometimes. I would absolutely recommend. There's no English translation for that, but if you're French or if you speak French, I would highly recommend. Also read another poetry book. I read the collected poems of Chika Sagawa. Ta-da-dum! A female Japanese poet who was heavily inspired by Surrealism. I don't know, I mean, yeah, it was beautiful, but I don't really like reading poetry in English, I think. Most of the time, it really puts a distance between me and the text, so, but I'm pretty sure that most people would like it if you're a native English speaker. It really reminded me of Sylvia Plath. I would recommend. I think it's interesting and it's definitely authors that we don't talk about enough, so I would recommend, but for me I could not connect with it fully, which was really upsetting and frustrating in a way. And then I read this one, La domination masculine de Bourdieu, so the male, I guess, domination. I'm not sure how it's translated in English actually. So this book, I had read so many extracts throughout, you know, the past year or so, but I had never read it fully and completely in its entirety, so I decided it was time to do it, and I did not regret it. It's very interesting. It's obviously not the easiest to read. I feel like sociology is a lot harder for me than even psychoanalysis for some reason, because they're so, I don't know, maybe because I have more knowledge in psychoanalysis, simply. But yeah, anyway, it's a book everyone should read, but you might need a dictionary and you might need the internet. It's a very crucial book that explains a lot of things so well that I would really think, you know, this should be a must read. Like, everyone should read the book. I read this one, Surrealism in Egypt, which obviously I have read for my dissertation. I haven't finished it completely, I have to admit, but it's a book about surrealism, about the movement. It has, you know, lots of illustration, a lot of pictures. It's about the history of the movement, be it literary or more like paintings and sculptures oriented. So interesting, so important, because we don't know much about the movement, even though they had amazing artists. So it's a beautiful book. It was a bit expensive, but you know, that's like the kind of books that it's more about art and art history, I suppose, than anything. So yeah, and I guess that's it. It wasn't that much really, but I've been busy. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, guys. Let me know what you've been reading. I would love to know. Thank you for watching this video, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!